Anyone see us?
I think so.
No sign of him making a move yet.
Sounds like he's already made some kind of move.
Alec's gone to sleep. Wait. Sounds like a 60-a-day asthmatic.
Yeah, well, they may sound unfit to you, but it's big enough to do damage, believe me. Where's the bug?
Inside her alarm clock. It's only a cheap model, and I figured that even if she opens it up to see why the clock stopped, she'll just think the bug's part of the electronics. I think they've stopped. Not in the car.
Why? When are you going to dump it then torch it later on?
Not in the car. I don't want to inhale your stale second-hand air.
Bloody hell, if I'd known I bought one of those dangly pine air freshener things. Anyway, why was this car chosen for us?
What?
Of all the models to choose from, why choose this car for the job?
I think it was the first one the Knight managed to steal. Why?
Well, it's ordered the last word in mobility.
Why? What's wrong with it?
Running a man down in a three-door bloody hatchback. It's humiliating for both him and us. There's no panache to it. I say let the man die with a bit of dignity, knowing it was a Merc that took him down. Or that he'd left a Jag or a brand new Saab needing a new bonnet and windscreen job.
Nice inconspicuous models, you mean?
Or at least a BMW then.
Why does it matter?
Because last impressions count. Final chance to make a statement. If I knew I was going to get mown down by a car, I'd insist on an AC cobbler man coupe before I'd even stepped off the curb.
I'll bear it in mind.
And did you know it was one of those racing down the M1 at 173 miles per hour that's directly responsible for the imposition of the national speed limit on motorways? But this, Lieutenant Matt's been shot dead by a 2-2 air rifle or a blank firer. It's so embarrassing. Think of his family. Now, going down in a blizzard of bullets from some Czech M61 or Mac 10, it's kind of mortally fulfilling. You're annihilated. You didn't stand a chance. But to be taken out by an air rifle, well, this, a bloody three-door hatchback, it's the height of humiliation. Well, at least it won't kill him outright. Shh. After we've hit him, before we finish him off, I'm going to apologise to him.
He's coming.
Are you sure? Certain you don't want to swap now?
No, I just bug people. Don't. What now?
Get your gun. You bought a gun? Tell me you bought a gun.
What would we need a gun for? The collision was supposed to kill him.
Hitting a man his size at 23.5 miles an hour in a small three-door hatchback is more likely to kill us than him.
Perhaps it's not the car that's the problem, but the driver.
How many ways are there to hit a man with a small car? I was more than happy to let you drive. Feel free now if you want. Go on, finish it off.
I just listen in. I gave you your cue. It wasn't my assignment to drive.
And it's not my assignment to shoot a bloody... Oh.
Evening, Babel.
Roman.
Seen any of the others yet? Any sign of Machiavelli?
The Black Queen's just arrived.
Alice. Her name's Alice.
I don't wish to know her name. I'd rather I didn't know any of your names. I'm quite happy with pseudonyms. On that point, he and I are on rapport. All the rest are late. We haven't even made up the numbers for our quorum.
We're anarchists, Babel. We make up the rules as we go along. You any idea what this is about?
None at all.
I thought our meeting was tomorrow.
It was.
So what's the brat got up his sleeve this time? For someone who claims to shun all forms of property and order, for someone who actively promotes a lack of property and order, why do you keep such a fine pocket watch? Perhaps it's your prompt, Babel, A clockwork knotted handkerchief. A symbol of the, what did you call it? The effluent from the affluent. For all those times when you wake up gasping in the middle of the night, wondering if what we're doing is really worth it.
When did I say that? You're mocking me.
No, I'm not.
I keep this pocket watch for the sheer poetic irony of it. Marx claimed that the British Library was very nearly a justification for capitalism. I claim this is my one small concession to the bourgeoisie. It's the instrument that counts down the time to their annihilation.
You believe in all that revolutionary shit, then, do you?
Of course. It's my raison d'etre.
Well, Babel, I can never quite figure out whether you're the saddest or the maddest of us. You're certainly dangerous.
You think so? Truly now?
You find that complimentary?
I do. Thank you, Ron.
Now, let's see what the wallet has in store for us.
You two took your bloody time. I hate waiting, you know that.
Even for 4 minutes, 37 seconds.
Spying on me again, Tonguesmith?
It's not personal. I trust no one.
But it's more than suspicion for you. It's a pleasure, isn't it? You like to watch and listen rather than join in, don't you, Babel?
Alice! Where are the others? Our 2 new recruits are a little tardy.
Perhaps they were just fashionable Sex Pistols anarchists. Good to weed them out.
It's not like our white knight to set a bad example. He recruited them, for God's sake. What's this?
Machiavelli ordered it. It's time our operation moved up a gear.
Is it a bomb?
Where did you get this?
From a man I know.
This is Kite's work, isn't it? Even down to his trademark 82 seconds for the Falklands.
Well, it's ours now.
I never gave you Kite's number.
Didn't you now?
No.
Perhaps she stole it from you, Roman, when you engaged in your little, faire de coeur on the... Let's see now. 4th of last month, or was it the 13th? Ah, the 13th. She asked you after copulation if you still had any of your mercenary contacts for the group. You replied, and I quote, "Yes, but there are certain elements that shouldn't mix. Too volatile." There are other times, I'm sure, but I can't keep track on all of you all of the time, and I do have my work.
Told you like to watch and listen. He even had our talented female recruits make him this bug. Probably listened to the tapes alone, late at night. Our lonely little interpreter, trying to interpret the sounds of humans who can feel more than contempt for each other.
You stole from me.
I acquired a contact from you. For God's sakes, Roman, with all the experience you've had, how can you be so naive? What were you, a mercenary of conscience? Of course I stole from you. You've been happy with our adolescent anarchy, taking money from Machiavelli for rousing a few thugs to a small civil disturbance. Minor damage to minor property with no one really getting hurt. Well, it's time to grow up.
And this is the way, is it? Blowing up some poor bastard you don't even... I won't be involved in this.
God, you and Kite sound so alike. Don't you see you're already involved?
Kite and I are nothing alike.
Is that what seeing action does to you, Roman? Makes cowards of men.
If you were a man, I'd belt you senseless for that.
If you were a man, I'd belt you back.
What would you say was the worst weapon in the world? Well?
The flamethrower. My brother and I made one with a squeezy bottle and a lighter when we were younger. Burnt down next door's aviary. Cats were bringing in parakeets for weeks after. I got the blame, even though it was his idea.
Your choice says a lot about you. It takes a certain type to use a flamethrower. It's a close-range weapon for a start, and you've got to be a mad bastard to want to burn someone alive. It's used more as a scorched earth and flush 'em out device rather than a weapon to engage the enemy with. Give me another one.
The landmine.
Better. Indiscriminate, unpredictable, long-term, vicious. But it's more defensive. To consolidate your territory. The worst weapon in the world is the neutron bomb. Not the atomic bomb, mind. It's nothing to do with scale. Specifically the neutron bomb. They suppress the shock wave of the nuclear explosion, but enhance the neutron radiation. So it kills all life, but has little effect on buildings, materials, the infrastructure of an area. They're placing materials and buildings above life. The intent behind it is obscene.
Is constructing lesser bombs less obscene?
Are Messrs. Smith and Wesson responsible for everyone who died at the hands of their hardware?
No. But I heard Nobel and Oppenheimer suffer from bad dreams.
I'll tell you straight. I was suspicious why Roman didn't write the request himself. That's why I set up those first 2 false meetings. Followed you, checked you out. Wonder why anyone would want to keep Roman's company. Turns out he's just a bored silver spoon who thinks a bit of part-time terrorism's exotic. Try it but clean, you'll do.
I came here for the bomb, not for some bloody ludicrous profile on myself. I know what I am, old man. What are you?
Well, here she is. Ever come across explosives before? I'm not talking about a Molotov cocktail thrown at some poor Packy's corner shop or your fertiliser derivatives. The ammonium nitrate does the business. I'm talking serious explosives. Amatol, Torpex, Semtex.
No.
So why now?
Our operation's expanding. Now we're supposed to be targeting higher
For God's sake, don't tell me. I don't want to know details. I want to know your thinking behind it. What's driving you? Your reasons, your motives. Not details, Christ no. I don't want to be involved. I just make the hardware.
Well, our unofficial line is that
See, that's my point. My interest in her and her kind is intellectual, academic. I'm not involved. At the moment, she's nothing more than a dormant experiment in the rapid release of energy through chemical reaction. Quite safe. In my hands, she's just a collection of inert compounds. In your hands, she could be lethal. The distinction needs to be made. Right. There are no Ponzi activation devices on this thing. Don't believe in them. Should you wish to install one, simply strip these 2 cables and fit some mechanism that will complete the circuit remotely. Otherwise, just set the clock running and be somewhere else in 82 seconds. Why 82? End of the Falklands. Now repeat it to me.
There are no Ponzi activation devices on this thing. Should we want to install one, Simply strip these 2 cables and complete the circuit.
Remotely, you'll be blind to buggery.
Otherwise, just set the clock running. And be somewhere else in 80... When was the Falklands?
82.
82 seconds. So, any suggestions where we might place Kite's little girl?
Plenty. Nothing clean.
Any serious suggestions? I thought we might try a town hall, local government offices, perhaps even a ministry. But I suppose the security's pretty tight.
It needs to strike a nerve. It's the gesture that has to carry the message, not the effect. Strike at the heart of the bourgeoisie. Strike at what they pin their hopes and beliefs on. Royalty, religious leaders. Some forward thinking, a little surveillance, a bit of imagination, and poco a poco, it'll happen. Has to be high profile.
And high risk. I can't believe you two. So, where is the brat?
Leave him alone.
This is why we've been called in early. To discuss what to do with his firework.
Yes and no. It's a bit of a moot point.
Ah, the wallet himself.
Roman, I would be content with being called the Wallet or the Brat if you had all stuck to your pseudonyms. To call the Black Queen by her first name is unforgivable. Almost as unforgivable as conducting romantic relations with her, but then I did ask her to use any means necessary to glean some of your mercenary contacts from your little black book.
If it makes you feel any better, I missed my period.
I should also like to remind you, all of you, why we chose the chess piece names. It was so we could send important messages in code, and if they were intercepted, they'd look like the notes of a chess player. Our collective anonymity would be protected.
You can take this cloak and dagger shit too far. There's no organization tracking us. There's no conspiracy to undo us because nobody knows about us. And even if they did, they wouldn't care less about a small, self-deluded bunch of undesirables into recreational anarchy.
So, you've been keeping surveillance on all of us, have you, Babel? A bit of suspicion and distrust of his fellows is to be commended in an anarchist. What have you on me?
In front of them.
Why not? You're an academic of sorts. You've read much of the work of and made extensive notes on Nietzsche and Kierkegaard in particular, and curiously Nostradamus. But you emphatically rejected Hegel, writing pusillanimous bastard across some of the inner pages of Science of Logic, before returning it to the library. You've stolen a reference book on small arms weapons, and you've studied the Prince, of course. And although you've cast yourself in the role of knight,
on your discarded notes there are often doodles of king chess pieces with cross-hatch shading in. You play the piano aggressively.
Thank you, Babel.
No, let the man finish.
You two are to be commended for your infiltration of the motorway development riots. 2 policemen, 8 security guards, 3 building contractors, and the sheriff himself hospitalized, along with numerous green activists. Your usual National Front thugs brought in?
You should have seen it. Mr. and Mrs. Suburbia suddenly found themselves on the same side as a bunch of neo-fascists who were lobbing stones and petrol bombs at policemen.
Exactly what I wanted.
Then beating the crap out of some little bailiff who was only expected to wrestle some tripping hippie called Honeycomb or Grated or whatever away from hugging a tree.
I was shocked to learn that a bunch of liberal New Agers could go to war over a plot of land. And who would have thought them to have been armed with petrol bombs? Burnt down half the wood, I hear, but I think the irony of it was lost on them.
It was beautiful, restored my faith.
I found the report that they thought it may have been the work of political agitators particularly gratifying. You managed to take it from peaceful protest to civil disturbance in a matter of minutes. Excellent work. And your report, Babel? As always, I look at the bigger picture. I've no interest in your little localized affairs with the hoi polloi. 2 weeks ago, I very nearly caused an international incident. To be fair to myself, it almost escalated into war. Really? I'm all ears. Well, obviously it would be unprofessional to go into detail. But if you followed the international news at all, you might be able to guess the parties involved.
Recently, a large, powerful industrial nation invaded a small scrap of an island, noted only for its beaches and seafood, which had been claimed some years before by a wealthy, influential Arabic country.
الكثيفة التي يستعملها حكومة السيد توكار ضد جيرانه إذا كان لا يوجد شيء يسوى مبلغ بلاد تكون في حرية وإذا خبينا أي شيء في هذه الحالة سوف نخسر أرضنا بلادنا وشعبنا إلى تصرفاته الإمبريالية المائية هذه سوف لا تحدث إلى شعبه وإذا توقعنا أوروبا
Gentlemen,
هذه
Mr.
تكون لا
Hassan.
شيء غير
Perhaps we should do a Solomon and threaten to cut the child in half, so creating another Cyprus. But I think we'd all agree that that would be in no one's interests.
He was a wily senior negotiator.
Mr. Hassan.
I'd worked with him before and admired him. He was quite used to the threats and histrionics of hostile delegations and not averse to using a bit of drama himself.
Thank you for the history lesson of the island and its numerous mentions in your country's texts, both fictional and factual. I'm also fascinated to learn that the island has 7 indigenous species of fauna and 13 new types of flora unique to it, which undoubtedly require the protection your government now affords them.
It was all pantomime. The Europeans knew that they were doing wrong but didn't care. The Arabs knew that the Europeans knew they were doing wrong, but they did.
And Mr. Toker, I'm well aware of your territorial claims to the island, which, I will remind you, have lain dormant for some 19 years now. But what a remarkable coincidence, gentlemen, that this whole issue has blown up within the same week as the publication of the recent mineral survey. Don't you think so? Let's take off the diplomatic gloves and speak plainly, gentlemen, shall we?
That gesture was new, against all diplomatic procedure. But how to exploit it?
Mr. Toker, your government's invasion of the island is at the very least an act of aggression.
An act of war.
That's as may be. But let's not get pedantic with semantics, shall we? I do not want conflict to arise over differences in terminology. Let us remember, lives are at stake. Mr. Toker, I sympathize with the internal problems within your country. And strong foreign policy always seems to be a good answer to internal troubles. But I would ask you to think again. Now, this organization is well aware of your country's superior military strength over Mr. Hassan's. But the island is far from your supply routes, and Mr. Hassan's government have established a strong fortified reservation to protect their rare animals and plants, which your first invasion force have not been able to dislodge, let alone overwhelm.
Not while even one of my countrymen live.
Followed by a 10-minute ranting oath promising that the Europeans would never take the island, so long as the smallest Arab infant discarding his mother's breast to pick up a rifle was alive to defend it with his newborn blood.
Hopefully this might get through to them. In 1 hour, a statement to this effect will be released to the world's press. Quote, after 2 days of negotiations and after much careful deliberation, it is the opinion of this organization that it cannot condone the actions of Mr. Tokar's government, but hopes both sides will explore further avenues of diplomatic action.
I simply swapped condone with condemn. One word was all that was needed. The Arabs left first, distributing insults aimed at everyone in particular. The Europeans saw no need to stay and quickly followed suit. Unfortunately, with the televising of the statement and comment from the delegations afterwards, it became apparent that some gross, embarrassing misunderstanding had occurred.
and forced the whole affair back into negotiations. At the same time, it was leaked to the press that the Arab interpreter had attended several anti-royalist rallies in her youth, and she became persona non grata. The leak was never traced.
That was you. You orchestrated that.
But no war then?
No, but 16 died during skirmishes between the two sides in the hour before the statement was released. Sadly, it means I can't play that joker again. But it made a change from creatively doctoring other people's paperwork.
Congratulations, Babel. It's confirmed. You really are the most dangerous man I know.
Once again, thank you, Roman. So, what target have you in mind for the bomb?
What are you going to do with it? The baby.
Haven't decided yet. I'll let you know what I've done when I've done it. To be honest with you, I'll probably destroy it.
Is that your decision or your brother's? Please don't.
Kite's creation is partly why we're here tonight.
Why partly?
Forget the smug dramatics and tell us. Alice and I have had our riots. Babel's had his lethal word game. And Machiavelli's what? Managed to raise another few thousand for the group from Daddy.
Thought you'd never ask. No. Machiavelli has no safety net now. Machiavelli has ordered a hit. The mark is how should we put it, a high-ranking law enforcement official. That's why our 2 new recruits are late. Thought it'd be a good test for them. They should be with us soon with some fascinating news.
You've done what?
I've ordered a hit. Our 2 new anarchists are to run him down outside his mistress's apartment, ditch the car and join us here. They should be arriving any moment.
And you took all this upon yourself?
Absolutely.
We're supposed to act as a group. Seems to me as though you've called this meeting to present us with a whole series of fait accompli for the further deification of Machiavelli.
Roman, leave him alone.
Anarchy is not democratic. I neither want nor need your approval, Roman.
You really are the knight, aren't you? Hiding behind your pawns, shifting forwards, backwards, little sideways shuffle, attacking unpredictably and then galloping off before the shit sticks to you.
And what would you have us do? Some more of your safe, sanitary anarchy?
Certainly not this.
No, of course not. Let's have some more of your thuggery and petty vandalism, shall we? The rest of us can run in and out of your shadow, a joke to the whole concept of anarchy. We've been playing around for too long, messing with small-scale anarchy when we should be working on Babel's scale. International. And it's you that's been holding us up, Roman. You're the impotent anarchist here.
You've no idea what you're saying.
What's gone wrong with you, Roman? What happened to your glorious mercenary days? You've done time for ABH, for God's sake. How can you not have the stomach for it now? Roman.
Why won't you answer? Cried the student in a rant. I would, replied the scholar, but I simply find I can't.
Do you want me to damage you, little man? I'll have the stomach for that. Our bishop. You're the most aptly named of all of us, you know that?
Why?
As far as I can see, the complete obliteration of society is your only faith. He's a 3rd-generation Holocaust victim, did you know that? Your notebook went missing for 2 days on the 21st of last month, remember? You were frantic. Turned up in your rubbish bins, which you'd checked at least twice before. You think you're the only one who did a little tracking, a little research. Seems that poor old Babel lost most of his family in Belsen. As far as I can make out, and it's a hard read without many laughs. After the war, the grandparents just couldn't adjust. Probably kept licking the wounds raw. I imagine the children felt isolated, dislocated, became insular, as did their grandchildren. Babel's father attempted suicide 4 times before finally getting it right. So my theory goes that Babel blames the world. hates society, doesn't want pity, doesn't want revenge, just wants the complete and absolute obliteration of it all. Anarchy is a release for his contempt. It is his hope. It is his faith. But the greatest of these is contempt.
Ignore him, Babel. Unlike you and I, he's a bear with no bite.
Shut up.
You and I. You and I. My work and your vicarious anarchy aren't in the same category. They don't warrant the same adjectives, the same language even. You keep buying your toys, you keep stealing your books, you keep searching for that one unifying theory for the greater glory of Machiavelli, the god of all brass and obscene gestures. This is the only book worth following, but none of you would know how to interpret it.
They were supposed to get rid of the car.
Device, waited for him, ran him down.
Anyone see you?
Don't know.
Anyone see you come here?
Don't know.
What speed were you doing when you hit him?
About 25 miles an hour.
You tried to kill a man by running him down within the legal speed limit. You careless bastard. Now we have a bomb and 2 seriously injured men. 2 things the authorities don't look kindly upon.
I don't recognize the authority of the authorities. Someone will have to kill him?
You do it. Instead of your anarchy by proxy. You do it. It ends here. Get away from the bomb, Babel. I used to enjoy being part of this. But not for a second did I swallow your antithesis of the old society for the synthesis of the new. All that shite meant nothing to me. But will you look at us now? Assassination you like by the 2 stooges. And here's our leader, our wallet. Our shining knight in arms, our own Napoleon. And here's our Black Queen. Less anarchic than antisocial. True anarchy means nothing to her or her brother. Oh, I thought you knew. A voyeur like you. His sister has a temper. Such a temper, and it makes her unstable. But she's devoted to him, and he knows it. Then there's me. I know I'm only here for the frisson it gives Machiavelli of having a mercenary and a convicted thug in the group. Do you know what my speciality was as a mercenary? Surveillance, reconnaissance. It was the guy I was with who deserved the ABH charge. I even tried to stop it. What a sorry bunch of misfits we are.
You think I'm some sick psycho then, you bastard?
Don't.
Can't we get anything right? You, Babel. What are you running from? You were carried too, Tonguesmith.
Love's never simple as black and white, my daddy said to me. For you to win her charms and get her in your arms, you need a good game strategy. So I tried real hard to break down your defenses, your blocking tactics soon bring me to my senses. My mind's made up, I want you, honey. You're the gal for me, but you say, checkmate. Slow down, you're going too fast. Checkmate. You ain't the first and you won't be the last. Gotta raise your game if you wanna be with me. So now I'm feeling down, but I won't give in. I gotta try and make her see that these other guys that she's fooling with, well, they ain't a patch on me. Sweep the board with the opposition. To get her in my life now's my only mission. My mind's made up, I want you, honey. You're the gal for me, but you say, checkmate. You're kinda cute, but so's the competition. Checkmate. Give me time to make my decision. I'll have to raise my game if she's gonna be with me. I'd be her king. Be king if you be his queen. It's your love. Set your doubts and cares away. You know you've bowled me over. So let the game begin. Your heart I'm gonna win, no matter what the odds. You know I won't give in. I wanna be your knight in shining amour. 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 Put up a fight, but now you've seen the light. Now you share my point of view. That of all the guys and against the odds, I might be the one for you. Queen, king, bishop moves 1, 2, 3. Now we're both